At least 110 people are dead in those tragic wildfires that ripped through Maui. And even a week after those fires started, it is still hard to get your mind around the size and the scope of all the damage. So let's do a quick overview of what's still burning today, 8 days later. This one right here, this is the Upcountry Kula fire. It's still about 75% contained. And then the Lahaina fire, that's still flaring with hot spots, and it is still not 100% contained. And zooming into Lahaina now, starting today, the road to Lahaina is open till about 10 p.m. local time. After that, only certain people will be allowed in and out. That's this road right here. It is one of the major roads going into Lahaina. But despite the road opening, not all of Lahaina is open for the public. Lahaina's historic district and the worst of the damage is still off limits as the search for bodies continues. Meanwhile, locals are looking for missing family members, and they have been urged to get their DNA swabbed to help identify any victims that have been found. It is a grueling process for families just looking for some closure.
The police have really helped, but I have run into a lot of people that I understand are tired. I'm tired too. I haven't slept in 6 days, and I just, like I said, I just want to identify his body and put him at rest.
And we've got more from that story soon. But first, let's start with NBC's Jay Gray from Maui. Jay, you are at one of the many shelters in Maui. How are people coping with this week?
Yeah. It's such a tough go, Gadi, and I think, to be real frank, a lot of the survivors here still in shock and still trying to piece together what's happened and where they go. But when you look at what is a shelter and a donation center, it's places like these that are all those displaced families have at this point. They've lost their homes. They've lost everything they had. They've lost communities. The wildfire leaving behind so much uncertainty and such overwhelming pain. What a lot of those that are coming to these areas will tell you is that they're drawing any strength they can find from being with others. Yes, they need the donations. Yes, they need a place to stay, but they also need to be with others who are experiencing what they are right now.
And Jay, a lot of people are going to be heading back into Lahaina today with that road open. And I imagine it's going to be unrecognizable for so many of them, right?
Oh, there's no question, Gadi. And the pictures, while they are horrific, don't really do things justice here. It's left in ruins. And what was such a special and historic place for so many, especially all of the locals that live there, is gone. And there's really no other nicer way to say that. It's been wiped from the face of this island.
And this road, here's a kind of a weird question. This road is open to everyone right now. Is that tourists included? It seems like such a horrible time to even talk about tourism, and yet for a lot of Maui, tourism is one of the main sources of income for so many people there, right?
No, Gadi, I think it's an important question, and you're right. Yeah, the road is open. It's very restricted as to where you can go, and obviously what officials here are saying, they don't want even people from the other side of the island, locals that live here, clogging up that road just to take a look. It's already been packed throughout the day, and it's really for those that have business there, these response teams or others, and then those who live there or did live there. And you're right, tourism is an issue here, and there's kind of a divide here because there are parts of this island that remain the same. And what a lot of people are saying right now in local government is that they're losing more than $1 million a day in tourism money at a time when they need that money most, when they need those jobs most. Take a listen to what the locals are talking about.
What I would say to tourists is, like, there's a time, and right now is maybe not the time for over there. That being said, we don't want to have an economic collapse on Maui, because before tourism was the #1 industry here on the island, please come, but just come to the right places.
Yeah, and look, just to kind of wrap up that thought, 85% of the economy here on Maui is based on that tourism. So that'll give you an idea, Gadi, how important it is.
85%. Wow. And Jay, you know, I can't help but notice your shirt's flapping. It looks like some of those tents behind you are flapping in the wind and covering fires. You know, you've got possible hot spots out there. You've got wind blowing. Are they worried about the wind at all?
They're absolutely worried, and the wind has picked up over the last 24 hours. It's going to increase. Remember, it was a Category 4 hurricane, Dora, that really fueled and pushed this fire, and it never came close to making landfall, but it did send some strong winds, upwards of 65, 70 miles an hour. There are two other disturbances out there. Again, they're not expected to make landfall, but, Gadi, they are upping the winds here, and unfortunately, the forecast looks like they could bring some heavy rain by this weekend, and throwing that into the mix for these recovery teams that already have such a difficult and somber job, it's going to be very tough if that's the case.
Absolutely. NBC's Jay Gray, thanks so much. And as we mentioned, the massive search effort continues in the heart of that burn zone. It is a grim and apocalyptic scene. Just blocks and blocks of charred rubble, a reminder of a community wiped out in moments. NBC's Miguel Almaguer was granted rare access inside of that burn zone with those search teams. Miguel.
FEMA is working around the clock, searching buildings and homes all across the burn zone. They face a Herculean task, one that's also heartbreaking as the death toll now tops 100.
Ground zero of the burn zone. For the first time, the federal government giving NBC News an up-close view of the destruction as search and rescue look for the missing.
How would you describe the search area? How daunting is it?
It's the worst thing I've ever seen. This is apocalyptic. It's terrible.
At the peak of the fire, many were escaping the flames in vehicles. Now authorities have to go car by car and block by block to see if they can find anyone who didn't make it out alive.
With more cadaver dogs on the way, officials expect to identify up to 20 new victims a day. 79-year-old Buddy Jantok and 74-year-old Robert Dykeman are the first to officially be identified. The governor says multiple children are also among the dead.
We are heartsick that we've had such loss.
For families like Clifford Abahai, the wait is agonizing. His 98-year-old grandmother, Louise, is still missing.
I love you, Grandma. I hope you're at peace.
We go slow, we go methodical, we're thorough, and then we're respectful. These are somebody's family.
From every direction and every angle, you can see the true scope of the damage. This is what authorities are sifting through every day. The fire came through here at 80 miles an hour. They need to search every building and every home before they can say their job here is complete.
Though the cause of the fire is still under investigation, resident Shane True says he watched a downed power line ignite dry brush just outside his home.
Flames start almost immediately after from the dry grass.
At least 3 lawsuits have now been filed against Hawaiian Electric, alleging turning off the power lines would have saved lives. The utility company had no comment. Now, a week after the fire destroyed this beachfront haven, families are left waiting for answers from the ashes.
Tonight, thousands of rooms have been donated by both Airbnb and local hotels to evacuees who have been forced out of their homes. They need all of the help they can get. Back to you.
Miguel, thanks so much. And IDing each victim has been a very painful, a very difficult and slow, delicate process. And officials have released the identities of 2 more victims. We just mentioned Buddy Jantok and Robert Dykeman. Both were in their 70s. Joe Lonnie Martinez from Hawaii, our Hawaii affiliate, has more on how those recovery efforts are going.
20 cadaver dogs continue to search Ground Zero. So far, they've covered less than a third of the burn zone. 75 FEMA personnel were deployed to the Valley Isle, including coroners and pathologists, as well as X-ray and lab technicians. A portable morgue also touched down. Officials say the unit consists of all the equipment needed for victim identification and processing remains.
It's going to be a very, very difficult mission, and patience will be incredibly important because of the number of victims.
Michael Richter was one of the Lahaina residents who went to Maui Police Department's forensic facility in Wailuku with hopes of identifying his stepfather.
He's gone. I just want to identify the body. The police have really helped, but I have run into a lot of people that I understand are tired. I'm tired too. I haven't slept in 6 days, and I just, like I said, I just want to identify his body and put him at rest.
To help identify loved ones, people are advised to go to the Family Assistance Center at the Kahalui Community Center for a DNA cheek swab to match the living with the dead. But collecting DNA from those who perished could be a challenge.
Chances of finding good DNA samples might be a really hard thing to do. Also, once you identify a victim and you have reference samples from their family, the DNA process alone is very time-consuming and very tedious. You don't want to make mistakes. You don't want to misidentify someone.
Even though the individual may not be identified today or tomorrow, there is hope they'll be identified in weeks or months to follow. And that's so important. For example, 9/11, the Twin Towers, they're still identifying individuals from a little piece of bone that is found on a rooftop in a gutter or something like that, all these years later. I just hope that we can stay in this together, we can trust one another, that all the responders, all the science, all the scientists and the doctors are doing the best thing they can, I hope. And if that's the case, we will go from this point of unknown to this point, hopefully, of identifications.
Jolani Martinez, thanks so much. Now, there has been a lot of criticism over whether the federal government is doing enough to help. FEMA says that they have sent the right amount of people to the disaster zone and the resources are there and more are on the way, but not everyone is feeling that impact.
All the people need right now is just some form of communications saying, you know, we can't give you answers right now, but this is what to expect.
Now, one of the people that's helping people out today is Dale Fernandez. He joins us today. He's helping deliver supplies to the people in Lahaina. Dale, thanks so much for joining us. I know that you and some of your friends have been helping so many people out there in Maui. I heard that you delivered some 3,000 gallons of gas to people in the last 4 days. Can you talk to us about what you're doing and why?
Yeah, we know, well, we were on this side and we've seen the fire. We live in Kihei, the other side of the island. We couldn't sit at home not knowing how much has happened out in Lahaina. So me and a few of our friends, we got together. We had supplies donated. We went out the first day and we seen a lot of people sitting on the side of the road that were sitting in their cars during their fire, and all had ran out of gas. And all they needed was about 5 gallons of gas either to get out or to get to the next gas station. So that was our goal, just try to help people out and, you know, get families out or get families out to get supplies or to the next gas station. We didn't expect to have to do it for so long to get so many people out. But, yeah, it's been a lot. There's a lot of people on the other side in the Pili, Kahana, Honokowai, that's pretty much refugees out there, you know, and none of them have seen any FEMA officers. None of them have seen anybody from the government. Not even take attendance, not even a drop off water, not even a drop off food for the people that's stuck out on the other side, you know. So not only me and my friends, there's a lot of local people jumping in, local companies. Maui Brewing Company helped us a lot with getting our totes. We all pitched in to buy the fuel, and we just really wanted to get the people what they needed. Like, as of right now, as we speak, they needed rice. My friends got a pallet of rice and they're sending it out to some of the sites right now. You know, we just know there was a need, that there's a lot of people on the other side that had a need, and we just wanted to do something.
Incredible to think that people just were fleeing so fast that they drove until they ran out of gas, and then you found them. I mean, I gotta wonder what goes through your mind when you hear FEMA say that they have the right amount of people there and that they have the right amount of resources and that more resources are on the way. Does that match with what you've seen?
No. I mean, they have a lot of resources at their places, but we have people stuck that can't get to their places. So there were an empty tank of gas on the side of the road, and these people were expecting them to come to a shelter. Now they come to the shelter, there's thousands of people there. and you show up with your family, you don't want to be in that place climbing over people, you know. And right now, FEMA has people camping outside the shelter because they don't want to be inside. FEMA is refusing to give these people donated goods just because they haven't checked into the War Memorial Stadium, which we really feel is unfair. And in fact, they went through and cleaned those people out of the parking lot to move them to Maui High last night without any notice. No, there's not enough resources. This was one of the biggest disasters that happened in the U.S. history for fire. We need the biggest and best people on the ground doing recovery. We need people, some of these people don't even have the right information. If we could have a FEMA person going around to these camps to explain the road's open, you can go, the road's closed, you can't go. Here's a place to help, you can go. Do you need a ride? Do you have health care? But none of the government is helping the people on the other side. We understand there was a tragedy in Lahaina and so many people lost so much. And everybody that lost a lot, there's some that's still alive and they're struggling on the other side of the barrier and on the other side of the disaster and can't get out. And yet they're sitting there wondering where their family members are and what's going to come of this. Yes.
We've heard so much about the confusion that a lot of people are feeling right now. You've been meeting so many people face to face. What are they telling you? What's the biggest thing they need right now? And are they getting any clarity at all in terms of where to get help and what's coming next?
For the people that's not in the FEMA shelters, they are not getting any clarity. The people that's out in like these refugee camps out at the parks in Honokawai, Napili Park, Napili Market, they are asking us for the information from the outside because they don't know. You know, like if we would have one FEMA person going around and letting them know, hey, this is happening, you can go here. There's medical aid here. There's not, because without the cell phones, they don't have no communications outside. We could have one National Guard person running the supplies that's getting held at Malaya. Locals are trying to give supplies, but getting held at checkpoints because of certain officers feeling certain ways. You know, and when we could just take those donations in a truck and drop it off to these people that are starving at these parks. And, you know, as a blessing, today's and the last couple of days, they've been well stocked. A lot of people stepped up, dropped off waters and food, clothing, tents, propane for cooking because there's no electricity, there's no water, clean water. So we've been trying to haul 300-gallon totes of water out there, just doing anything we can to make it a little easier on the people on the other side because they seem to be forgotten, you know, and that's kind of how me and my friends felt. So that's why we did what we did.
Dale, I mean, I can't imagine being a family stuck there without gas, without water, and then seeing you and your friends coming to the rescue. Can't thank you enough for joining us and can't thank you for the work that you're doing out there enough. Dale, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
You too. And we've got a lot more ahead, including the latest on the Rust movie shooting. It looked like Alec Baldwin was off the hook, but now he might be facing charges again in that fatal shooting. That story is coming up next, so stay tuned. Hey there, welcome back. And here are some of the other headlines we're watching tonight. The Toohey family, featured in the film The Blind Side, is pushing back on Michael Oher's claims that they never formally adopted him and that he instead was tricked into a conservatorship. The family alleges that his claims are part of a shakedown and that he threatened to leak a negative story to the press unless he was paid $15 million. And some wild video out of Long Island where a woman is seen pointing a gun at people around her, even firing it in the air. Then a police car rams her. The officers arrested her and took her to the hospital. She's facing several charges. The officer who hit her also went to the hospital to be treated for trauma. And we told you about police raiding the office of a local newspaper in Kansas. Well, today, a county official said that all seized computers, phones, and files should be returned immediately, saying there wasn't sufficient evidence to warrant the places searched and the items seized. And a federal appeals court upheld some restrictions to access to the abortion pill mifepristone. The ruling won't have any immediate impact on the availability of the drug, at least for now, and that drug has remained widely available after the Supreme Court issued a temporary pause while the case moves through court. And turning to New Mexico, we've seen Alec Baldwin charged with involuntary manslaughter. Then those charges dropped, and now it looks like once again Baldwin might still face charges in that 2021 Rust movie set shooting. New analysis of the gun shows Baldwin did pull the trigger, while Baldwin has insisted he only pulled back the hammer and the gun fired accidentally. 42-year-old cinematographer Helena Hutchins was killed in that shooting. And in April, those original involuntary manslaughter charges against Baldwin were dropped. Prosecutors at that time said that the gun might have been modified before the shooting and it malfunctioned. But that's also when they commissioned this new analysis, which now alleges that the trigger had to be pulled. NBC's Antonia Hilton joins us now. Antonia, this feels like so much prosecutorial whiplash, right? How likely are we going to see charges refiled against Alec Baldwin?
That's a great way to describe this case, because it's been a lot of up and down, and every step of the way there's been this confusion here over the gun, what happened with it on the scene, and also throughout all the testing and investigations that have happened since. It looks like he could very likely face charges again, and they might be the exact same charges we saw before, involuntary manslaughter, for example. The prosecutor has told us at NBC News that the door is open for this, although they haven't made any decisions at this time. And Baldwin's team right now, they have declined to comment. This all comes, as you mentioned, after these charges were initially dropped, because there was this confusion over whether or not that firearm had been modified in some way or if it had malfunctioned. But this report seems to be, it seems to push back against Alec Baldwin's narrative that he's been consistent on now since 2021, that he didn't have any responsibility, that he didn't pull it. At one point in the report, they say that he would have had to apply at least 2 pounds of pressure, and that very clearly this gun was operating effectively, that they found no evidence of error. And so this is, just part of the next wave, I think, of confusion in this case, right, as people are looking for more clarity. And I think it also kind of indicates to us, right, Gadi, that even if they file these charges and say there is a trial, this isn't going to be an open and shut, easy case for prosecutors, because Baldwin's team is going to be able to point to all of this confusion, all the ways in which the gun itself has been questioned when he tries to defend himself.
And so far, he has insisted that it was just the hammer being pulled back up until now, and we haven't heard anything on this latest development from Baldwin's camp. Is that right? That's
right. They're declining to comment, and I think everyone right now is waiting to see what happens from the prosecutor's office. They've made clear that they're not going to take pressure from anyone, for example, from Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, who is facing herself these involuntary manslaughter charges, as well as evidence tampering charges. And what we know right now is, while she's pled guilty, she's going to be standing trial, it looks like, in December. So as we find out more about what happens on her side, her team is of course, pushing for Baldwin to be held accountable to some extent. I think we'll know more in the coming days or weeks, but in the near future, about what is in store for Baldwin.
Antonia, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Gadi.
And the fallout from former President Trump's fourth indictment continues tonight. NBC News has now learned that some Trump supporters have posted the names and addresses of the jurors who indicted Trump and his allies on a fringe website. All this coming as Trump and his 18 co-defendants are expected to surrender to Georgia authorities by next week. Fulton County authorities have been preparing for this for a long time now, and now U.S. Secret Service agents are also saying that they're ready for it. NBC's Blaine Alexander has more.
With the countdown officially on for former President Donald Trump and his 18 co-defendants to surrender in Georgia, we're getting new details of how that process could play out. In a statement, the Fulton County Sheriff's Office says, based on guidance from the DA's office and presiding judge, it is expected that all 19 defendants will be booked at the Fulton County Jail, a process that would typically include fingerprints and mugshots, though it is not clear whether that would happen here.
The indictment brings felony charges against Donald John Trump.
The former president is facing 13 charges in a sprawling indictment, alleging he and his allies unlawfully conspired in a criminal enterprise through a number of acts in an effort to overturn President Biden's win in Georgia. In a social media post, Mr. Trump said he would hold a news conference Monday to present an irrefutable report on alleged election fraud in Georgia, though he has not detailed what's in that report. Georgia's Republican governor, Brian Kemp, who Trump had tried to pressure after the 2020 election to overturn the state's results, is preemptively shutting down Trump's claim. In a post of his own, Kemp writes, the 2020 election in Georgia was not stolen. Our elections in Georgia are secure, accessible, and fair. Among the others named in the 41-count indictment, Trump's former chief of staff, Mark Meadows, who Tuesday pushed to have his case moved to federal court. And Rudy Giuliani, who helped pioneer the use of RICO, an organized crime scheme charge to prosecute mobsters in New York. Now, along with the other defendants, he's fighting that very charge.
This is a ridiculous application of the racketeering statute. There's probably no one that knows it better than I do.
Blaine Alexander, thanks so much. And coming up, a lot of cities across the United States are struggling to find housing for migrants seeking asylum. Those details in just a few minutes. But first, you gotta see this. A group of brothers made a pretty crazy discovery in the Florida Everglades. Take a look.
Oh my God! This is big! Dude, good job, good job. All right, I won't let it keep up on us.
Freaking here, it's grabbing on, dog.
Yeah, just hold on, Good.
Oh,
damn. Leave that one. Yeah, Kylie, you gotta grab it.
Oh my gosh, that python is 16 feet long. No, thank you. We'll be right back. Hey there, welcome back. And here's what's happening out here on the West Coast tonight. First, some shocking video shows a woman attacked and dragged during a robbery this week. But real quick, this video is kind of disturbing. It happened in Hacienda Heights around 11:30 in the morning. And you can see a man pulling on that person, dragging her along the parking lot as she ran away. Two witnesses stepped in to help the woman and chase down the robber. But the L.A. County Sheriff's Department hasn't made any arrests and no word on how that woman's doing. And a San Jose police officer was shot this morning. The police department says he was responding to a family disturbance when it happened. The suspect is in custody and the officer is right now in the hospital. And one of the last remaining KC-10 airplanes has retired in Riverside. It landed at the March Air Base this morning after its final flight. And this thing is gigantic. This plane was used to fuel military airplanes around the world that can carry up to 600,000 pounds of cargo. The military is replacing the KC-10 fleet with its newer KC-46s. And from coast to coast, big cities are dealing with buses and buses of migrants. And in New York, Democrats are arguing with each other over how to handle that crisis. NBC's Gabe Gutierrez has the latest.
Tonight, a new battle is brewing over how New York City is handling the record-breaking influx of migrants. Mayor Eric Adams pushing back after the state's governor, Kathy Hochul, a fellow Democrat, accused him of not doing enough.
If her observation is that here's some things that you can do differently, we're all in. One thing no one is stating that we didn't do. We've housed 100,000 people, unlike any other city.
It comes after a lawyer for the governor today sent a scathing letter saying the city faces a serious crisis and has failed to accept the state's offer of assistance and should do more to act in a proactive manner. The mayor opening 2 new shelters, and he's repeatedly slammed the federal government for not doing enough to help the city. Today, we spoke with Carla from Ecuador with her 4-year-old daughter outside the iconic Roosevelt Hotel in Manhattan, which has been turned into a migrant housing facility. Give us an opportunity, she says. Many of us just want to work. Across the country, other major cities are also struggling with the influx, and Massachusetts governor just declared a state of emergency.
It's unsustainable.
In New York, since last year, more than 100,000 asylum seekers have arrived. More than 58,000 are now in shelters, and officials estimate housing and caring for migrants will cost city taxpayers $12 billion by 2025. Business owner Joe Germanata says one of those shelters is impacting his neighborhood.
They're hanging out on the sidewalks. You know, there's trash. You know, we found hypodermic needles. It's become a real nuisance.
Mayor Adams argues a major step to solve this crisis would be allowing migrants to get work permits. Gadi?
NBC's Gabe Gutierrez, thanks so much. And today marks 1 year since President Biden signed the Inflation Reduction Act, also known as the IRA. And for Democrats, it's seen as a win on major climate issues. But Republicans have been blasting away at the steep tax increases that have come with it. And as far as the average American goes, well, survey says most don't even know what it is. Thankfully, our Noah Pransky breaks it all down.
We've heard lots of debate about the Inflation Reduction Act.
The most important investment we've ever made in our energy security.
The biggest tax hike in the history of our country.
But do you really know what's in it? Let's break it down. The Inflation Reduction Act, also known as the IRA, committed $500 billion over the next 10 years toward clean energy and healthcare investments. We're talking about tax credits for electric vehicles, for improving your home energy consumption, and for companies that produce renewable energy. Also, insulin price caps, prescription drug reform, and Affordable Care Act subsidies. To pay for it, the IRA also included increased IRS enforcement and a 15% corporate minimum tax. The Congressional Budget Office found the bill would more than pay for itself, and in the year since it was signed, inflation has pretty much done what the president promised it would.
This bill will, in fact, reduce inflationary pressure on the economy.
We're back close once again to the Fed's 2% inflation target. But economists have been skeptical about attributing any drop in our inflation rate to the Inflation Reduction Act. In fact, not even President Biden appears to be making that claim anymore. At a recent fundraiser, he said, quote, "I wish I hadn't called it the Inflation Reduction Act because it has less to do with reducing inflation than it has to do with providing alternatives that generate economic growth."
Wind energy is cheaper than fossil fuels. Solar energy is cheaper.
Regardless, only 1 in 4 Americans say today that they have a good idea of what's in the bill. And Yale researchers found that only 38% of America approves of it. However, when that same group of respondents was briefed on the contents of the bill, their support nearly doubled to 68%. The provisions are popular in the rare cases where Americans are actually familiar with them, which may explain the president's recent interest in barnstorming the country.
Folks, every Republican voted against our clean energy investment known as the Inflation Reduction Act.
Eager to talk all things IRA.
Noah Bransky, thanks so much. And for this next story, let us set this scene for you real quick. You book a tour in San Francisco. You're probably expecting beautiful views like this, the Golden Gate Bridge, maybe some delightful saltwater taffy at Fisherman's Wharf. But what if instead it's a tour where you're walking through deserted stores, abandoned office buildings? Well, it's true. And believe it or not, it is sold out. It is being called the Doom Loop Downtown Walking Tour, and it puts visitors up close to some of the very real economic issues facing that city. NBC's Jake Ward went to check it out.
Nigel Kennedy used to see 12 clients a day in his barber chair. Then when the pandemic hit and the surrounding office towers emptied out, so did his place. And he began falling behind on his lease.
How far behind did you get in rent?
Over 2 years, $48,000.
And in the end, buried under back rent, he got the equivalent of a do-over. He was evicted, but now he's back under new terms.
Every month I do a monthly sales report, and then based off my sales report, they charge me a percentage of my rent.
San Francisco needs a do-over, with commercial vacancies above 31%, the highest in the nation, and fears that a doom loop could kill off the city's downtown.
This is the $2.2 billion Salesforce Transit Center. It's supposed to be the major transit hub for anybody coming here from the East Bay by bus, but on a busy Friday, the only people we've seen in here are a couple of tourists.
Wade Rose runs a group that represents some of the city's biggest tenants, companies like Google, Uber, and Gap, that paid sky-high rents during the boom. But then the pandemic arrived, and with it, working from home.
90% collapse in office utilization is just unprecedented in a major urban city in America.
Wow. And at that point, landlords here went into denial, Rose says.
There's a period where people pretty much were denying that something really fundamental and existential had happened.
San Francisco has reborn so many times. It's been counted out so many times.
Mark Babson took a 1970s office tower left empty during the 2008 recession and converted it into residential space.
Could you do what you've done in this building at any one of those buildings downtown?
You could do it at a number of buildings. The elevators being in the right spot, you're going to get sometimes, not all the time. That's a bonus. You could probably work around it. But the floor plate is a big one.
Because offices make for long, narrow apartments, Babson had to get creative. The city under Mayor London Breed is doing what it can, offering small loans to small business owners and small payments to landlords to create pop-up restaurants and art galleries downtown.
We've done this in parts of our city in various neighborhoods, like the Bayview Hunters Point community. They had a almost 50% vacancy rate, and it's down to about 10%.
The days of being the hottest real estate market in the world may be over, but maybe that's a good thing. Rose says landlords are no longer clinging to the status quo and are preparing to more or less give away retail space to start the clock on what experts say will take 10 years to make downtown bustling enough to attract employers again. He points at Nigel's building, owned by Boston Properties, as an example.
So they are now making their retail space, which is the bottom 2 floors of the building, is quite extensive, available to nonprofits, to artist groups, to entities which will come in and create interesting activities which will attract people.
Boston Properties did not respond to our request for comment, but if they do change course, that could be a relief for the few businesses left.
Everyone that could afford to buy out of their lease did.
They can take the hit. They can cancel and walk away.
Amazon Go just left. It was like the gold rush. And then all of a sudden, COVID hit, and here we are, completely changed the culture. So
here we are. Jake Ward, thanks so much. Up next, the big headlines trending around the world. North Korea claims the soldier who bolted into their country says he faced racial discrimination in the U.S. Army. Those details are coming up next. Hey there, welcome back. Let's take a quick look around the world in 80 seconds. In New Zealand, a jury finds a mother guilty of murdering her 3 young daughters. Lauren Ann Dickinson had admitted to killing her kids' 2-year-old twins and their 6-year-old sister back in 2021, but pleaded not guilty, arguing she suffered from severe postpartum depression. Prosecutors say she did it out of anger. And a technical glitch at the Bank of Ireland allowed people to withdraw and transfer money they did not have, in some cases as much as $1,000. When word got out, people lined up at ATMs by the hundreds. As you can imagine, that glitch was eventually fixed, and a bank representative said that any money transferred was not free to keep. And work crews in Italy are clearing mud-covered roads after a series of violent mudslides this past weekend. Now, the mudslides went into homes, they covered cars, but officials say everyone is fortunately now accounted for. It happened in a mountain town near Turin known for its winter sports and summer hiking. And England moved into its first Women's World Cup final after beating co-host Australia 3-1 today. They're going to face Spain in the World Cup finals on Sunday, and this is the first time England and Spain have reached the finals together. And it has been about a month since American soldier Travis King ran across the demilitarized zone from South Korea into North Korea, and now North Korean officials claim King said he faced racial discrimination from the U.S. Army. NBC's Janice Mackey-Frayer has the latest.
This is the first we've heard from North Korea that Travis King is in custody after he willingly ran across the border into one of the world's most hostile countries. State-run KCNA now claiming that Private Second-Class King, who's 23, wants to seek refuge there or in a third country. A statement alleging he was trying to escape, quote, maltreatment and racial discrimination in the U.S. Army, adding he was, quote, disillusioned with the unequal American society. The Defense Department saying it can't verify the claims or whether the comments were coerced, but they add they remain focused on Private King's return home. His family concerned as well because there's still no information on his whereabouts, his well-being, or what he faces. All of this as President Biden is set to host talks with the leaders of South Korea and Japan at Camp David, where the growing threat of Kim Jong-un's weapons programs will top the agenda. As for Private King, it's unclear what happens next. Tension is at a high. There are no lines of communication, and there is the likelihood of a show trial. Because Travis King crossed into North Korea as a civilian, the U.S. has not yet designated him a prisoner of war. With so many unanswered questions, his mother is now appealing for a sign that he's okay. A spokesperson saying she's, quote, a mom worried about her son and would be grateful for a phone call from him.
If you're a pet owner, then you probably weighed this one before. Should you get pet insurance or should you not? For a lot of us, furry friends are family, so it makes sense to protect them. But financially, is it actually worth it? NBC's Vicky Nguyen crunches those numbers so you don't have to. Take a look.
We love our pets like family. An estimated 111 million American households have a dog or cat. And just like any member of the family, healthcare is important, but an emergency vet visit can cost between $250 to $1,600. It's prompted a booming business in the U.S., pet insurance. The number of policies purchased at the end of last year has risen nearly 93% since 2019.
It's another kid. You know, I have 3 daughters and I have Lucy.
You got her as a puppy and immediately you thought, this is a good idea to have insurance for our pet. Why?
Well, just like you would insure your children. You want to make sure, you know, if something bad happens, that they're protected.
Jeff Foose purchased a policy from Trupanion, among the nation's largest pet insurance companies. He says his coverage started at $33 a month for Lucy. But after 9 years, the cost has risen to almost $80 a month. That's a 141% increase. Foose says in some years, his rate increased more than the 20% his policy said it would never exceed annually. Do you think this was a worthwhile investment?
Absolutely not.
It can be hard to tell if pet insurance is worth it for you. We requested quotes from 5 popular companies using Bruno, a 3-year-old mixed breed dog. For similar coverage and a deductible between $200 to $500, take a look at the rates. Embrace at the low end at $41 a month. Trupanion the highest at $167. None covers routine exams.
We would absolutely recommend that you get your insurance when you have a puppy or kitten, because that's when a pet doesn't have any pre-existing conditions.
Margie Tooth is the president of Trupanion. The company brought in almost $1 billion in revenue last year and says it's paid $2 billion in claims since the company was founded in 2000. We asked her about Jeff Foose's case and other complaints that Trupanion has raised its premiums to unaffordable levels that are far higher than vet care inflation.
You said it's important to your company not to make consumers feel like it's a bait and switch, and yet we have talked to some who feel like they're not getting what they were promised. How do you respond to those criticisms?
It's very disappointing to hear that people feel that way. I think we work very hard to ensure that we're explaining our value proposition and that we make it clear to people when they sign up with us that your price may change.
Do you think there's enough regulation to make this industry transparent and to help consumers really understand the pricing models?
I do not. I think it's changing. I think it needs to continue to change more.
It's a bad financial product.
Kevin Brassler is executive editor for Consumers Checkbook, a nonprofit providing price research and consumer advice.
In the case of pet insurance, we found that overall, compared to the payouts and the premiums you have to pay and all the other out-of-pocket expenses, they're generally really bad deals for most pet owners.
Do you think it's a better idea to set aside some money in a rainy day fund rather than paying these premiums?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to do far better off financially in the long run by taking those premiums that you'd pay to pet insurance companies and just saving them and taking care of your pet's costs out of pocket.
If you want to buy pet insurance, Brassler says check accident-only policies to cover emergencies like car accidents or poisoning, and look for a higher deductible plan to lower your monthly payments. Foose says he would have been better off with a rainy day fund.
If you had just paid out of pocket for Lucy's incidents, would you be ahead?
I'd be ahead of about $2,300, $2,400.
And that does it for us tonight. I'm Gadi Schwartz. We'll see you tomorrow, but until then, stay tuned now.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.